As an anime lover, it's my duty to share with my fellow anime lovers anime that they might like. So, welcome back to Animeology, and today we'll show you the top 10 anime where the main character is feared as a living legend. Hope you guys enjoy the anime mentions in this video. Before we begin, be sure to drop a like and subscribe down below for more anime top 10s. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. Number 10, Bloodlines. This anime follows the story of Stas Charlie Blood, a powerful vampire and ruler of the Eastern demon world. According to the rumour revolving around him, Stas is a sadistic and merciless monster, but in reality, Stas is an otaku obsessed with Japanese culture and harbours no interest in human blood. When a Japanese girl named Fuyimi wanders into the demon world and meets our protagonist, Stas is overjoyed. But happiness quickly turns to sadness due to Fuyumi's dying shortly during an attack on Stas' territory. Stas vows to resurrect Fuyumi as that would mean that he can travel to the human world, something he has always wanted to do. This anime is pretty fast-paced but attempts to provide an ample amount of character development with each episode. This show is tagged as a comedy, so you should expect to get some good laughs out of it. Its humour also sometimes involves references to other anime, which they execute on perfectly. Number 9, Suka Suka. Willem is a young man who was frozen in time after battling a demon lord and was awoken 500 years later. He is still a young man, but is equally bound by a sense of duty as well as a feeling of loss. His loved ones are all dead, and he is the last human. Who can he relate to? This aspect makes the actions he takes and decisions he makes very understandable. Likewise, Catholi has accepted that one day she will be sacrificed in combat like all of her predecessors to save the lives of countless others. She is resigned to her fate, but Willem, with his vast experience as a hero, is showing her another path. As a young teenage girl, she latches onto him, and he, reluctant to experience a painful love again, slowly warms up to her. This dynamic is very symbiotic and works well in addition to the plot. From the very beginning, Suka Suka promises an unhappy ending. In an ambitious cold opening, we hear Catholi narrating her love for Willem's juxtaposed with scenes of various calamities befalling future characters. As the show goes on and the characters come to mean more and the world reveals itself, the memory of it becomes more chilling. Number 8, Assassination Classroom.
Room for a while.
Perhaps later. I need to pop back over to Tokyo for a moment first.
Huh?
Koro-sensei forgot his favorite pillow.
How is everything you own not in that bag?
Koro-sensei is a tentacle monster with a smiley face for a forehead, so he doesn't exactly look like he's impossible to defeat. Looks can be deceiving, however. Despite efforts from everyone from the military to a group of middle students that he's personally trained to be able to take him out, no one comes even remotely close to beating this guy. He's super strong, moves at incredible speeds, and can use his mucus as a disgustingly effective protective barrier. Ultimately, Koro-sensei's life comes to an end at the hands of his students, but it's only because he allows it to happen. He wants to be stopped before the antimatter inside him blows up and destroys civilization. Because he's the one who trained the kids to be able to do it, this counts as more of a victory than a defeat. Number 7, Garo The Animation. This anime focuses on the main character, Leon Lewis, a teenager who will inherit a legendary golden knight armor called Garo from his mother. Although he has great power, he does his best to overcome the hatred he bears from his mother's death at the hands of the kingdom. His father, the German, known as Zorro the Shadow-Cutting Knight, is still training Leon when he is called to investigate the upsurge of horrors in the kingdom's capital. Although German knows Leon's will is wavering, he decides to bring Leon along to continue his training. As German and Leon head to the capital, the king's amiable son, Alfonso San Valentine, struggles to find a solution to a growing horror threat. Before he can do so, he is double-crossed and banished from his own kingdom. To return home, Alfonso sets out to find the help and strength he needs to reclaim the throne. During his search, he comes across Leon, whose interactions with the prince will forever change both of their fates. Number 6. Mushi Bugio. Mushi Bugio is a historical action anime full of overpowered characters, sword fighting scenes, and an overpowered main character called Jinbe Tsukishima, a young samurai aiming to be a master swordsman like the legend of his father. To atone for a horrific incident that occurred at his fault, Jinbe joins the Insect Magistrate Office, which is an organisation created to fight against giant insects who have invaded the Earth. In an alternative Japan, Mushi, which are giant insects, begin to attack people and essentially bring down the whole country. Because of that, these are warriors that are rounded up and sent to fight them. The anime story follows one of the greatest samurai characters in the time, Jinbe Tsukishima. He is a member of the city patrol, and he is the one who takes the place of his father, who cannot fight anymore. Number 5. The Legend of the Legendary Heroes. Despite this anime's unappealing name, it's actually really good. The Legend of the Legendary Heroes follows the story of Rainer Lute, an Alpha Stigma wielder. In a world filled with magic users, the Alpha Stigma allows its wielder to analyze and copy the magic of any individual, making it similar to that of the Shingaran from Naruto. However, the Alpha Stigma is more infamously known for taking over their owners in times of extreme sadness or anger and bringing destruction to all in its path. After many of Reiner's classmates wound up dying in a war, he vowed to make a peaceful nation with his best friend Sion. Fast forward a couple of years and now Sion has become the king. He orders Rainer and a girl named Ferris to locate relics that will assist the two in fulfilling their dream. One of the most entertaining parts of this show is the dialogue between Rainer and Ferris. They have to be one of my favourite anime duos of all time. Number 4. Grandmaster of the Demonic Path. Grandmaster of the Demonic Path tells the story of the rise, death, and then resurrection of a man who wields unorthodox methods of controlling the undead. It is also, however, a love story between our main character and a man from his past whose devotion to him didn't falter even in the decades after his death. The story is set in a province of fantasy China, where 5 clans of cultivators of magic live in an uneasy peace. Of these cultivators, the most peculiar is Wei Wuxian. He is the reincarnation of the legendary cultivator of demons and necromancy, one feared by all. Grandmaster of the Demonic Path takes the time to flesh out an extensive backstory for its characters. After the brief introduction in the current timeline that compromises the first 2 episodes, and the fair amount of action comprising much of the pilot of this donghua, you'll see it as being a more character-driven story, and you'll love that. Number 3. Rurouni Kenshin. The story of Rurouni Kenshin anime series follows the overpowered swordsman Kenshin Himura, a legendary ex-assassin who is trying to find his new peaceful way in life. Now, as a wandering swordsman, Kenshin is trying to protect the people of Japan instead of going back to his former assassination life. During his previous life, he has seen that the world is bloodthirsty and thrives on violence, and he knows that it's wrong. Kenshin is regaining his innocence. With each life he saves or spares, he seems to gain a little bit of himself back. He's able to live a relatively good life with the spirited girl Kaoru, and their growing collective of friends, like the wild-tempered but trustworthy Sanosuke and the plucky pickpocket Yahiko. Almost every single one of these characters, as well as a goodly portion of others, has great characterization, and many of the so-called bad guys are really would-be heroes who just happen to be working for someone else. You could be rooting for Kenshin to defeat a character in one episode, and then find yourself rooting for that very same character in the next. That's why you should really watch the Rurouni Kenshin anime series, as it showcases a huge theme of personal peace and forgiveness. Number 2. Trigon. Trigon anime series depicts the legend of the overpowered main character Vash the Stampede, who is the man with a $60 billion bounty on his head. The reason? He's a merciless villain who lays waste to all those that oppose him, also flattens entire cities for fun, garnering him the title the Humanoid Typhoon. He leaves a trail of death and destruction wherever he goes, and anyone can count themselves dead if they so much as make eye contact, or so the rumour says. In actuality, Vash is a huge softie who claims to have never taken a life and avoids violence at all costs. With his crazy donut obsession and buffoonish attitude in tow, Vash traverses the wasteland of the planet Gunsmoke, all the while followed by 2 insurance agents, Meryl Strife and Millie Thompson, who attempt to minimise his impact on the public. But soon their misadventures evolve into life-or-death situations. Trigon is one of the common 26-episode TV animes, but it's indeed one of the best out there. The anime is great opening, great ending, and great background music throughout the show. I like some tracks so much that I often listen to them while I'm exercising. And number 1, Helsing Ultimate.
You're nothing but dog food.
First of all, Helsing is a vampire action anime that follows creatures of darkness and evil that plague the night, devouring any human unfortunate enough to be caught in their grasp. Helsing is an organisation dedicated to destroying these supernatural forces that threaten humanity. Yet, the legendary vampire main character Alucard is working against his own kind as an exterminator for Helsing. So, with Ceres Victoria at his side, Alucard must battle not only monsters, but all those who stand to oppose Helsing, be they in the guise of good or evil. Therefore, Helsing anime proves that appearances are not all they may seem, and sometimes the greatest weapon can come in the form of your worst nightmare. I honestly don't think that there is much out there like Helsing Ultimate. It's a show without restraint, its villains are cackling madmen, and so are some of its heroes at points. And much of its dialogue isn't speech, but speeches filled with rhetoric and philosophy. It's so heavy-handed and absurd, yet so awesome and gratifying that Helsing Ultimate may just be beyond my imagination. All I can say is that you have to see it for yourself.